webinar series. We have Gayle Mack joining us again this morning, and Gayle has some very exciting information to share with us today. This is going to be a beautiful webinar. Gayle was just sharing with me a little bit about what she's going to be presenting this morning. So thank you all for joining us, and good morning. And Gayle, are you ready to share a little bit about yourself, just for those of you that those that are on the webinar that don't know you?
Okay. So, for those of you who don't know me, sometimes I am a little technically challenged. So, okay, once again, I'm trying to pull up your screen here. Oh, there you are.
Okay. We're gonna do a presentation, or Gayle's gonna do a presentation using the quantum infinity, but we're also gonna show some instructions, and we can send those to you all as well after the webinar.
Okay, and if you, I sent that to you, so you should be getting it any minute.
Okay.
So for those who don't know me, I'm Gayle Mack. I am a naturopath. I have a alternative health wellness center in Beaufort, Georgia, and it's called Body and Nature. And I also am a spiritual channeler and healer. I've been channeling the Marys, Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, as far back as 3. And so that my spirituality is very important to me, and it really works hand in hand with my alternative clinic and working with the quantum infinity. What I found is that when I am channeling, there's a certain audience of people that come to hear and have the and believe in the spiritual wisdom that comes through. And then there's the mainstream people. So I started working with bioenergetics to address the mainstream people, and it gives me an avenue where I can actually use my spirituality and my intuition using a scientific-based program. And I use the quantum infinity with my patients in my clinic setting to open the door to blend the healing, because they need to see something, and a lot of people, and especially men, believe in science and technology. So if they see I have something that's technical, they go, oh yeah, she knows what she's doing. And I could run a scan, and because my intuition skills are pretty clear, it is possible for me to do a whole scan and not even look at my quantum infinity. But I do, because when you're using the quantum infinity, so I guess I'm going right into the program. So when you're using your quantum infinity, it allows the person you're working on, their energy, their body, what's going on with their body, their energy, their emotions, their mental issues, shall we say, to tell you what's going on in their body through your quantum infinity. So their body actually tells you and gives you the roadmap of where to go when you're using your quantum infinity. So Karen is, if you're trying to figure out what we're doing, Karen is putting up the little bit of instructions that I sent, and I will complete it a little more in more detail, and then she'll send it, email it out to you after the program.
Well, thank you, Gayle. Yeah, for some reason it didn't want to download the document, so I'm just going to open it and just display it on the screen.
Okay.
But in the meantime, I can bring up. It's messing around. Well, in the meantime, I can.
We're going to have a webinar that has no technological challenge at all, and it's going to be so smooth, and then we'll probably crack up laughing afterwards. So
well, in the meantime, I can. We've got this here.
Okay, so in the meantime, we're going to do start the program. And so today our session is Friday's webinar. So we came up with that. And so every Friday when we do the webinar, it'll be Friday's webinar will be our client's name. So I want to speak about when you when you put in the identifying characteristics, you can put in the actual issues that the person is experiencing because everything has a resonance to it, a frequency. The words have a resonance, the actual issue has a resonance, and the words have been calibrated in a technical term. They've been calibrated and hold a frequency or a resonance. And so you can put either the words of the issues they're having, or you can use a positive statement. Highest vibration is what Karen has for the highest good. Whatever you feel that you like. For me, I use most often for my greatest good, meaning that it's for my client's greatest good. Then I always take a picture because the picture captures the energy of the person and their energies in the moment. And if you're doing a long distance session, you can have them take a picture and with their iPhone and send it to you, and then you can drop that into your client image. So now I'd like to speak about the spectral voice analysis. And because everything is frequency and everything has a resonance, it's important to capture their voice pattern. So it used to be that we would say, state your name and then a positive statement, and then it was changed to the vowels to get all the vowels in. So we actually have enough time. So I have my clients state their name, I am, and their name. So today, like I am Gayle Mack. Then the vowels, A, E, I, O, U, I am joyous. So I have them state their name, the vowels, and then a positive statement. And why this is so important is that your voice carries specific tones that are unique to you and each individual. Each person has their own unique quality or timbre, as they call it in the music world. You have your own unique quality to it that differentiates your voice from somebody else. So when you answer the phone and someone says hello, you already know, if you don't have caller ID, you already know who's calling because you recognize the tone and the quality of that person you're speaking to. So with your voice patterns with specific tones, we have the chromatic scale. And when we do get the instructions up, I do have the chromatic scale written out for you. And in the chromatic scale, it's like C, C sharp or D flat, D, D sharp, E flat, E, F, F sharp, G flat, G, G sharp, A flat, B, and then C. So then it goes up the scale. That's your chromatic scale in the musical scale. So when a person is speaking, there are certain tones that they're going to use on a regular basis, and there are tones that are going to be missing. So the tones that are present tell a story, and the tones that are missing tell a story as well. So being that everything is vibrational, everything has a resonance to it, and everything has a harmonic to it, and they're all frequencies. Oh, there we go. So the chromatic scale is a musical scale that has 12 pitches, each a semitone above or below the other. And on the modern piano, it's the white key, the black key, the white key, the black key. It's alternating the keys. And then you'll have the space where B, C, and E, F. There's white key to white key. So when you play those scales, that's a harmonic, a chromatic scale. And when you add different tones to it, and play them at the same time, that's a harmonic. So I'm going to come back to frequencies and resonance. So resonance occurs when two things vibrate in unison at the same principle, at the same frequency. And, let's see, I might be getting ahead of myself. Okay, so let me do hertz first, and then I'll go into the resonance. So everything being vibration, so vibration is calibrated in hertz frequencies. So hertz frequencies can either be the molecule or the atom and the rotation of the spin, how many times that atom or that molecule rotates per second. It can also be a wave, whether it's a sine wave in the musical tones, a radio wave, where the tone will reverberate and it'll have a high pitch and then it'll drop and then it'll come back up to a high pitch. So when it goes up, down, and comes up again, that's one cycle. So 1 hertz is one spin or one topping in a wave per second. A megahertz, that molecule will spin 1,000,000 times per second. So say if, we'll say, I'm just going to throw out something. So say something is 6 hertz. It means it spins 6 times per second. Frankincense, which is one of my favorite essential oils, vibrates at 147 megahertz per second, which means that it spins and its frequency vibrates 147 million times per second. That's frequency. So everything in life is frequency. Our organs have specific frequencies. Dr. Tainio actually has created equipment that measured the organs and the tones that came off of the organs when they're healthy, and the hertz frequencies. When they are compromised, they have a lower frequency. So putting in a balanced frequency, whether it's with your quantum infinity, whether it's with an essential oil, whether it's with toning with sound, it helps raise the frequency of the organ into a higher balance. And that's where what we call resonance, where two frequencies are vibrating. So when you have a healthy organ, say your liver, and you have a frequency that is at the same frequency or resonance and vibration as an essential oil or a tone, you're going to have a resonant vibration, and that liver is going to start vibrating and resonating health. If your liver is compromised and you start vibrating and introducing into the body higher frequencies, you have an entrainment where the compromised, lowered frequency of the liver will begin to raise itself. The body is healing itself, and it's going to find a balance in between the frequency that you're putting in, whether it's a quantum infinity frequency, a solfeggio frequency, essential oil frequency, a tone frequency. You're going to have a raising of the lower frequency, because the lower frequency will rise up to a higher frequency and you come closer to balance. So that's the process of using the quantum infinity. And then we get into the multi-layers where we're working with specific frequencies with the tone and the essential oils and products and breath work and meditation. So I would like to also say with vibration, words are very important too, because the words and phrases have frequency to them as well. A negative thought lowers a person's energy 12 hertz. A positive thought raises a person's energy 10 hertz. And when you pray, it raises the frequency 15 hertz. So it's very important as you're working and you're going throughout your day to take care that your words are raising people up, that are lifting people up, that are bringing harmony, not only to yourself, but for those around. So having said that, let's go into our scan. And we've already put in the voice analysis, so let's start a scan.
Thank you, Gayle. I'm so glad you mentioned that. Words are so important, aren't they? And they have such an effect on our physiology and all those around us too.
They do.
Yeah.
So if you could hit the start button, Karen, and then we can start the session. We're in that process. So using the quantum infinity, you can actually use and incorporate many frequencies to bring balance to a person, either to yourself or to your client.
So Gayle, you wanted to go 1 minute on the multi-layer?
Yes.
Okay.
So 1 minute on the multi-layer, and we're going to show you too the MEP, because I've talked about it in the last webinars, but we'll go over that. So if you would, Karen, let's tap on the aura and let's take an aura picture. And as I've said previously, when I'm working with somebody, I take their aura picture when I start, and then I take their aura picture when I finish. And I'm looking for more clear images and brighter colors and more introduction of colors. That's how I interpret the aura. So this actually is a pretty good aura to start out with. So because it has the yellow, that's attraction, that's coming in, you have the pink and the healing, and the going into the purples and the magentas, that actually is a pretty good aura picture to start. When you see that someone is muddy colored underneath the legs and the lower part of the chakras, it kind of lets you know that they've got some first, second, third chakra issues. So everything will give you a roadmap of where to go next in your session. So if we can go back to, now you can screen capture the auras. And so I screen capture the auras for my clients, and then I show them their before and their after. So most of the time, their second aura picture when we are finished is much brighter than when we first started. So, and for those who don't know, how you screen capture on your iPad is at the top, if where your on-off button is, and the little depression that takes you to home. If you depress both of those at the same time, just for a second, then you'll hear the and you'll see the little flash like you did, and it captures your screen. So now you've just saved that picture, so you can email that picture, and you can email it if you are online. You can email the aura picture as soon as you finish taking it, and I call it, for my clients, Aura 1 and then Aura 2 when I finish. Okay, so here it's kind of funny. So I can say this looks like you are scanning me, the spinal energy and injuries, because I am recovering from that. We're tweaking my low back. So, with going with what we're talking about, let's go into meridians, if you would. Tap on meridians and we'll see what's going on in the body. And again, the organs have a frequency to them, a healthy frequency. They have a tone to it. And liver, see? I had a feeling. Liver, large intestines, and conception vessel. So conception vessel works the front of the body, and the governing vessel works the back of the body, basically, to do that really quickly. So having the liver, so we were talking about that. We're going to put the liver. The liver looks like it's a little active, so if this was my client, then I would say that the liver being a little active, I would ask how much coffee they're drinking, if they use chemical toxicities, like chemical cleaning products, if they're using inhalants, the Febreze or the plug-ins, and when the last time they did a body detox, a full body detox. So doing a full body detox is real important. And Karen, if you would slide the liver and the large intestines and the governing vessel into the multi-layer, that would be good. So doing a full body cleanse that cleanses all the organs, the lymphatic system, and your blood system is really beneficial. And for me, I have my clients do spring cleaning, fall cleaning. So at least twice a year, I have them do a full body cleanse. Often people say, oh yeah, I did a colon cleanse 3 months ago. So a colon cleanse is good, but it really is good to have a full body cleanse that is specifically designed for the entire body, to clean all of the organs so everything vibrates and sings harmoniously. Okay. Did you want to say something, Karen?
No, I just wondered why that message popped up there about the recording.
Oh, okay.
We're good.
So I also am looking, when I work on my clients, I do the highs and the lows. And I see that pericardium is 15. So pericardium is the space around the heart. So heart and liver are paired organs. So when you're working, it's nice to know paired organs, because if one is overactive, it means that the other is underactive, which kind of makes sense here because you can see that the liver is 745. It's on the high side. So with the liver being overactive, then I know that the heart pericardium is going to be on the weaker side, and that's at 15. So we're going to put the pericardium into the multilayer as well. All righty.
Gayle, did you say you want to put the governing meridian in there, or just the conception vessel?
Well, you know, the governing meridian is, what's that, 66? So go ahead and put that in, so then we're balancing the front and the back of the body.
Okay.
And let's look at lung. So lung is a little on the low side, not too bad, but lung, large intestines. So when you're working with your clients, and you know with the paired meridians, when the large intestine is overactive, then the lungs have a tendency to be underactive. So if you have sinus issues or a chronic cough and it's not due to chemicals or smoking, allergies have a tendency to be more prominent when you have a sluggish large intestine. So when you clean the large intestines out, then you also improve the well-being of the lungs. So it's really good to know the paired organs. And what I'll do, because I've talked about it, I will put the paired organs in this information sheet, and that will be emailed to you as well. And I'll also type in when they're dominant. So,
well, thank you.
When they're active, so that'll be nice and handy. So it's really it's good to look at this roadmap and looking at this, and it just tells me what's going on with my client. So let's go ahead and put lung in there as well. And then we'll go back to the Da Vinci screen. So I have asked Karen to possibly put the chromatic scale in. So that's something that may be in the 2.0, or it'll be something that you can add in, or if you don't want to wait for it, you can do a custom library and put in the chromatic scale and type them in on your own and do it hololinguistically. Or if you have I get really creative. If you have an imprinter and you have a piano, and you can also go onto the internet and have the piano play tunes on the internet, and hold your imprinter to either the instrument or hold it to the speaker, you can get the tone and imprint the tone of the scales, of the chromatic scales, and then you have them in your custom library to add into a balance. And I'm sorry I didn't think about that sooner, or I would have had that. So
that's a great idea. Thank you for sharing that, Gayle.
You're welcome. Things come to me all the time. Okay, so now with doing words and thoughts, because words and thoughts have energy, and as we did in the last webinar, we went into the positive and the negative thoughts. Well, let's go in, before we do that, let's go into the emotion. The emotional. If you can tap on the emotional and do a scan, and then we'll come back to that. Oh, very nice. And then if you would just scroll up for me, Karen, so we can see what's going on. disappointment, euphoria, love. Okay. One of the things that I like to utilize as well is Louise Hay's book, Heal Your Body. And going back to the organs and the emotions, her book has different issues. So say if you are having colon issues, oh, let's see, we'll do something that's not, okay, we'll do constipation instead of the opposite. So she has constipation here, and that is on an emotional and a thought process, is refusing to release old ideas stuck in the past, and sometimes stinginess. And her positive statement for that is, as I release the past, the new and fresh and vital enter. I allow life to flow through me.
It's so powerful, isn't it? The Louise Hay's work.
It is. So I highly recommend getting the Heal Your Body book by Louise Hay, because it just gives you that little extra insight. Because people will say, oh, you know, I've been chronically constipated all of my life, and then you ask what's going on, and it's like, oh, you know, I had a beautiful childhood. I didn't have any problems at all. And then as you start talking with them, and you'll find as you start bringing people into balance, they start releasing the emotional stuff, and then they start chattering. And if you're paying attention to when they're chattering, because I don't shush my clients unless they're diverting me from what I'm trying to do and asking too many questions. Sometimes they do that. You have to kind of rein them in. But when they're doing idle chatting and I'm focusing on what I'm doing, I'm also listening to what they're saying, because they're going to give me a lot of information. And as you're bringing them into balance, they're going to start dropping the emotions, and the memories are going to start popping into their brain, and they'll say, oh, you know, when I was a little girl, my mom used to harass me and always make fun of me because I was a tomboy, and I didn't like wearing dresses, or she was always rushing me and had to do this, or I had to be a certain way. And so those emotional issues can have a results and get layered and have train a person to be chronically constipated, because they're holding in their emotions, holding in their feelings. So using Louise Hay's book with the positive affirmations allows you to get a little deeper into your client's issues. And if you have time, you can type these affirmations into a custom library into your positive and negative categories, like we did on the last webinar. So that does take time, but you can type them in and keep them short. So I think there's a certain amount of space in the custom library for doing so. Let's see. So coming back to the emotions, can you scroll up and let me see what, okay, disappointment, euphoria, guilt, grief. Okay, so when you're working with Louise Hay's book, and you kind of learn that grief is associated with lung. So grief, if we scroll down, was -3. So that lets me know closer to 0. That's kind of compacted. So there's been a history of grief and maybe suppressed grief. So we could put grief down into the multi-layer.
Did you want to put the others in, Gayle?
We can.
The other highlight ones?
So let's see, euphoria. Now look at love. Love is 1. Let's put
Put love in there?
yeah, okay. I did want to put love in the balance RX when we do the MEP.
Oh, okay. So
we'll put that in last because we're going to layer up the multi-layer. So the multi-layer means exactly that you can keep layering multiple panels and multiple items into the multi-layer, into that tray. So we don't want to get too carried away, but putting in the issues are good. So we can. How many did you put in? I wasn't paying attention. 4, approximately. Okay. So let's say that's enough. We'll come back to that and slide love into the balance RX. So a little thing about the multi-layer RX. However many items you have in the multi-layer RX, that's how many times your time session. So you see here Karen has 0 up here for the multi-layer time. We're going to have to put that at 1 because 0 will run it continuously. And we're going to put it on 1, and we're going to have the balance RX on 1 so we can show the MEP. And so if you have 1 minute on your multi-layer RX, however, if you have 20 items in your multi-layer RX, your balance time of 1 minute is going to be split. Those 60 seconds are going to be split between those 20 items. So you don't want to put everything in the kitchen sink into your multi-layer RX. Take your highs and your lows and your focal point, your focal issues. You can put those in there as you layer up, but take care that you don't get carried away. So, Karen, I'm going to have you stop the balancing. Oh, you're almost finished. Okay.
Okay.
Alrighty. And did you get a percentage?
59%.
Okay. So that's pretty good, 59%. So let's go back. If you would, let's go back to the Da Vinci screen so we can go into the custom panels as well. So the focus of this webinar is the it's using the resonance, the frequencies of the quantum RX, your voice, the power of your words, and tones. So the placebo thoughts, we're going to go into placebo thoughts. And we're going to put in, let's go to positive thoughts. And then scan positive thoughts. Is that the only thing you have in your positive thoughts?
Oh, I thought we did a whole customized panel for positive thoughts.
Yes, we did. So later on, you're going to have to find that. So say there were 100 positive thoughts in there, and we're going to slide in my 1,000. My thousand petal lotus is what that's from. Okay, so we're going to put that down into the multi-layer. So for those who weren't on the previous webinar, the thousand petal lotus refers to the crown chakra and the multi-layers of the brain. And if you did a cross section of that of the brain right at the crown chakra, you have nerve fibers and tissue, and when you open up your pineal and your crown chakra, the brain folds kind of open up and they vibrate and look like a thousand petal lotus. And that's where that phrase comes from, and why you see the spiritual people sitting on a lotus, because it's symbolizing that their crown chakra and their gate to multidimension, the multidimensional realms is open. Okay. So Louise Hay, in her Heal Your Body book, will have wonderful positive thoughts that you can put in, and then put in what your client says. If they have a negative thought, then put in an opposite, a positive thought that counters what their negative thoughts in, and build your library that way. Okay.
Gayle, did you want to put any of these energias in there?
Not at the moment. We can go into those at a later time, because I do know that they have meaning, but if we'll just do it at another time.
Okay.
So with the positive thoughts, again, when you're doing a balancing, had we had more positive thoughts in this category, when you put the positive thoughts, it automatically raises your body and your frequency 10%. And when you're saying a prayer and you're using your bliss and your and a state of joy behind your prayer, and you pray as if you have already received it, it really amps up and facilitates your healing and moving you into balance. Okay. So let's go back to the Da Vinci screen. Oh, no, before you do that, sorry about that. Let's go into the Young Living essential oils. So on the theme of frequencies, each essential oil, like your voice pattern, has a specific, unique vibration to it as well. And the single oils and the blends, they're kind of, the single oils are like the notes on a scale. So when you have certain products and certain essential oils, they have a frequency, they have a tone to them, they actually have a sound. It's like unconditional love. Unconditional love is a frequency, it's a feeling, but when that feeling has a frequency to it, and when you vibrate, when you measure unconditional love, it actually vibrates the color of emerald green. And there are certain tones on the chromatic scale that will put you into bliss, into joy, and other ones that will instill fear and anxiety. And so are the chords and the musics and the soundtracks to movies, because the music actually puts you into that state, so you're not just visually seeing and feeling whatever is on the screen, you're actually feeling it from the resonance with the music that comes up that accompanies what you're seeing the actors do on the screen. So if we could scan, I have got to get your Young Living panel, the same as mine. Okay,
Oh,
so
there's about 100, I think, that need to be updated, correct?
yes,
About
and we're working on that. So what I'm going to have you do now is,
the
for
blends?
me, I have a product category that has all of these categories listed. So it has nutrition and the blends and the singles A to K, singles L to Z. It has the everyday oils, the different kits. It has nutrition. So when I scan the product, it will tell me what brings my client into balance or brings me into balance, whether it's the blends or a single oil, and then I go back and I open that up. And I'm sorry, I said that we would do that the last time, and it completely left my mind until now. So we will, next time we do this, Karen's will be like mine. So let's say that we scanned it and we'll go into single oils and the blends. So if you can tap on the blends and both the single oils. Okay. And then we're going to scan those. So essential oils, going back to the frequencies and the harmonies, the harmonics, they have a resonant tone that they vibrate as individual oils, and then when you layer them into a blend, you're actually creating harmonics like you would be playing harmonics on a scale. So C, D, E, G would be a tone that would be harmonic in the scale on the piano. And when you layer up your individual essential oils in the single oils and they become blends, you're actually creating a harmonic chord. Then when you layer singles and chords together, you actually start creating music. And Dr. David Stewart says a wonderful phrase that when you use the raindrop therapy technique, you're actually creating a symphony in the body with tones, resonance, frequencies, and energy. So the Young Living Raindrop Therapy is a really wonderful thing. If you've experienced it, look for somebody who has it. They have YouTube videos on how to do it and how to facilitate it, and it's something that you can incorporate into your practice, which is absolutely wonderful, using the raindrop therapy. And so you can create a symphony in the body by using essential oils. Okay, so cedar, Western red cedar, that's one of my favorites because cedar in the Native American tradition takes your prayers up to spirit. So I think that's very appropriate. So we can put the Western red cedar, put that into the multi-layer RX. If you would, please. And see what else comes up. And it is to your advantage to look at, to know your essential oils, to get familiar with the essential oils and what they do. So eucalyptus radiata, that would let me know, since that's antimicrobial and a parasitic, it's, did I get all this? Antibacterial. So it has those properties to it. So that would be a time where you would go back into the cross analysis and maybe scan to see if your client has one of those issues. Because that, again, is a roadmap. It's telling you, it's giving you a direction where to go. So we could put the eucalyptus down into the multi-layer.
Would you like to put the Australian blue in there as
Oh,
well?
absolutely. So Australian blue, I'm so glad that that came up. Australian blue is another one of my absolute favorites. So they found with the Australian blue, and this product, it was thought for the longest time that rose oil was the highest frequency, vibrating at 320 hertz volts, so they can actually measure it. And rose oil is it's one of the pure essences, and its unconditional love is the frequency. Unconditional love is 528 hertz, and rose oil is 320 hertz in a pure essential rose oil. So oftentimes when people have apparitions, they see, experience Jesus or Mother Mary or one of the saints or angels, they have a tendency to smell the frequency of rose. And that is because they it is a high frequency of unconditional love. Now, the Australian blue, coming back to that, it's a blend of blue cypress, that that has been grown and distilled from Australia. So they found when they measured Australian blue that the frequencies were 740. And it absolutely runs the body and brings the body into balance. Running the frequency 740 hertz volts is huge. Megahertz is huge in the vibrational realm. So it really moves your body into balance. So this is one that I use when I'm in meditation. And I will say that with this, the Australian blue, it also has cedar wood and white fir and ylang ylang and geranium, and it has jasmine, divana, chamomile. It's a nice blend of citrusy oils as well as your cedar and your spruce. But the effect that you will have when you use this oil in person is wonderful. And when you slide it into your quantum infinity, it is equally beautiful for bringing it to the balance. And I'm just looking at the clock and seeing that I need to move it on. So let's go back to the emotional panel, and we're going to put love up into the balance RX. One thing with Australian blue is that with me, if you put it on the base of your skull, which is that's where I like to put it, and I'll also put it on my third eye. When I put it on my third eye, it's funny that I sometimes get a little crusting when I use this for meditation, and I take it as my pineal is decalcifying. So it doesn't always happen, but it happens sometimes, and because it's such a high frequency, it is a product that opens up your pineal. So with the MEP, so what the MEP does, and can show them, Karen, on the screen how to activate the MEP. So you set the multi-layer RX and the balance RX, and the MEP is actually going to take you from back and forth between the multi-layer and your balance RX trays. So I'm using love as my filter to bring the rest of the body into balance. Were you going to say something, Karen?
Oh, no, sorry, I was waiting for you to finish.
Okay.
So,
So the Balance RX, you'll know whichever tray is working, the arrow is going to be blinking. It'll be flashing. So it will show you. Did you just run the Balance RX? Is that what that was?
yeah.
Okay. And so if you could tap on the MEP show. Okay, and we're going to set the time, so we're going to slide that time up to 1 minute. Because it said it's 16, is it? Yes.
No, it's set at 1 minute for the Balance RX and the multi-layer.
Okay, all right. And then it'll go back and forth for 16 minutes at 1 minute each.
Right.
Okay.
It takes so long. When I do something on my iPad, it takes so long to appear on the screen.
Okay. So go ahead and what does MEP technically stand for?
Multi-element phase. And it was actually Susan Covington and Dr. James that that kind of worked together to create that.
Okay. So I'm going to click on
interesting function.
Okay. So did you tap on the arrow to start that process?
There we go.
Okay, so as you can see on the screen that the Balance RX is flashing red. So that is what's working and processing now. That's my filter. And then after a minute, it's going to pop down to the multi-layer RX, and then it's going to start balancing and regenerating those frequencies, and then it'll go back to the Balance RX, and then it'll come back to the multi-layer. So in this session, we're using the emotion of love as the balance, as our filter for bringing the body into balance. You can put anything in there that you want when you're doing the Balance RX. You can put in the liver, and so everything would be going and concentrating and having the liver as your filter, and then you would have a concentration of energies going mostly to the liver if you had liver up there instead of love. And because we just had 1 minute, I think it just did the Balance RX and then it stopped, correct?
Right.
Or did I? Okay. So adjusting your time, if you see underneath the MEP, the minutes, so you can adjust the time up to 16 minutes, or 32 minutes rather, up to 32 minutes, where it's going to go back from the Balance RX to the multi-layer RX, and it's going to keep going back and forth. Okay, and then if we would go back, and we're going to wrap this up, so you would keep going until you would get a satisfactory ratio. It said 59, so you could go until you hit 528 if you had time, and being that it's 12:59. I had intended to give you time for questions and answers, so we'll just go a little bit over and do questions and answers.
Sure.
And then if we could scan the aura one more time and just see the difference of bringing the balance. So I know I did a lot more talking than working, but in the session, but I wanted you to understand frequency, resonance, and the power of the tones and the resonance and wave frequencies, and I tapped on it a little bit, but at least it gets you understanding of resonance and how words and essential oils and energy works in bringing the body into balance. Okay, so this is nice, pretty pink.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
So, yeah, very nice. So this is how I would end the session, and I would send in the two auras. And as you can see in this one, there's a little bit of muddiness underneath, which we didn't complete the session and bring them into 528 hertz. So it's understandable that we switched on issues and we didn't quite clear them out. So that makes sense why that is not as bright and vivid as when we started.
Thank you, Gayle.
Okay. So I know we jumped around a little bit and it didn't run as smooth as we had anticipated. But are there any questions on?
Yeah, I thought it was perfect. It was great information, and people really, appreciate this information being shared, and how the quantum infinity is used so uniquely by everybody. It's used in such a different way by everybody. So it's great for people to see that and experience that. So thank you, Gayle.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, so Annette, hi Annette, says Australian Blue is a blend, not a single, right?
Absolutely, it is a blend, yes.
Okay. And then also Annette, this is going way back to the when we were scanning the liver. It says the chart says that the liver is paired with the gallbladder, not the heart. I don't remember. Do you remember when we were doing that?
Oh, yes. Let's see. And I do have that information.
Good.
Liver. I'm going to have to check that. I don't have it handy on me, so I'll have to check that, and I'll get back to you. Whoops, I'm making noise here as I'm looking. So it's possible, and it'll be in the correct pairings will be in the information sheet that is emailed to you after the webinar.
And it's on the Meridians. It's on the Meridians panel too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. There we are. I don't know if you can see it. So people can always refer to that as well. But I will send out all the information that Gayle sends to me to email to everybody.
Heart sperm testings. Here we go.
Does anybody have any more questions for Gayle? I think we're good. Thank you, Gayle. That was beautiful, as usual.
Thank you so much. And we will chat again in 2 more weeks.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Take care. Thanks, Gayle. Have a wonderful weekend.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye. I don't think I ordered. It came a message